Hello, hello, and we are now live coding for aliasnerd.com. And today, what we want to try and get done in the next hour is the admin page for the website. So currently, the website looks something like this, and the video is controlled. What video shows up here is controlled by one of three different video IDs, one being a general ad, like a general play video, the other being a live streaming video, and the other one being some sort of a specialty video that I might want to show. So I want a way that I can add those video IDs in, and I also want a way that I can switch between the videos using some sort of a live switching, a live button or something like that. So, go live. So I need a page to do that. That is for only the admin that I can access through a drop down here. Like here it says edit account logout. If I'm in an admin, there should be an extra link here that says, dashboard or admin panel or something. So I'm going to create that today, and we're going to use TDD, test-driven development, because we don't have anything except for the model currently for holding all the config nerd stuff. And that's how we're going to do it. So let's just dive right in here. So I'm going to go into Vim, and you can see that we have, if I go into DB and then the schema, we're going to have close to the top here, we're going to have something called the ConfigNerd Model. There it is, ConfigNerds. So we have video ad ID, video temp ID, video stream ID. So those are the three different types of videos that we could play. We have a live boolean, meaning if the stream is live or not. And that boolean we can turn on and off, and that's going to help determine what video ID to show. So we have a model, but we don't have anything else. We don't have a way of setting it within the application. We'd have to do it through the console, and that can be tricky, or it's not the best way to do it. So we're going to create a controller in some views to make that easier. So the first thing we're going to do is go into test and go into controllers, and we don't have anything there, so we should edit a file called test controllers, and we're going to do admin controller. Now, how should I do this? I should actually make it, I'll say test.rb, but I should actually, instead of being admin, it's going to be config nerd, config nerds. I'm just going to do config nerd controller because the S is for pluralizing it, and there's only going to be one, so we'll just do it like we did with the welcome controller test. So do that. I'm just going to save it and go back to the nerd tree and go over here and split screen this out. So this one I will do the let's refresh this. Hopefully there it is, config nerd. Okay. Over here I'm going to do the welcome one because it's very basic and that's all we want to do. And I'm going to copy this code over to make life easy. And let's see what we got here. So we have the test helper, which we need to require. So we're going to change out the name of this test, which is going to be ConfigNerd Controller. It's going to inherit from action controller test case. We're going to set up, in this case, yeah, we will set up a project because that might be required. And I don't think we need to set up a configner because that should automatically be generated if there isn't one. So that's the way we set up the code, that it automatically creates one if there isn't in the application controller. So we don't need to actually create one here because the test will test that simply by hitting a page. So we're going to have not an index, we're going to have a show page. So we're going to do show. Let's just see here. Should it be a show? Actually, we don't even need a show. What we do need is a new page, and we don't need an index, so I will delete that. So should get new, and this is with admin user. Okay, and then we're going to do only one other one for now. And it's going to be should get edit. Actually, it should only get edit. Haha, because it automatically creates one. So we'll only need edit. So this is going to be a little easier than I thought. So we're going to do change word and say edit. All right, so we're going to want the response to be success, and we don't need it to do anything there. So this has to have an admin. So to test that it's actually an admin, we'll do 2 of these and say should not get edit without admin user. So we can do at user equals users subscribed, and then we will log in, sign in, and we'll say at user. Okay, so this is a subscribed user, they're not an admin, and this should redirect. So we will say assert redirected to. And this one, where should it redirect to? Root path, I'm thinking. So if someone tries to hit the admin, I'm just seeing how I want this to work out. So if someone tries to hit the admin page and they're not supposed to hit it, it'll just take them right back to the root, which seems fine to me. So then we just need to yank this down to here, or up to there, and say, I don't even need this set up here really. Projects, do I need projects for this? No. Okay, so here I want this to be, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to just test the fixtures users, and we have a subscribed, an unsubscribed, and an admin. So I'm going to say that this is an admin. And an admin does not need to have a card, it just works. So we're going to sign that user in. I'm just going to change this to say admin, just for fun. It's not really required, but nice. Okay. And we're going to try and get the edit page, and it should succeed. So these are the 2 things. This is as basic as it gets for just hitting the page. So we want to, essentially what the admin page is, they're going to click a link, and that link will take them to the controller action, edit, which will display a form that they can change the different features. So I'm going to hit save, and let's go through and run guard on this. So guard is running. Whoops, we can quit all there. And here we are. So we're going to save this file. And let's see if guard runs it. It looks like it's running the nerd controller test, and it's going to fail. So this is what we do. We write the basic test to begin with, and that's sort of the spec on what we want to happen, and then we get it to fail. And the failure is going to tell us both what we need to work on next, and if sort of explain how we're going to get everything to work. So we're going to have, let's see here, the runtime error at controller is nil. So it's saying we can set a controller in the test if we want to, but we don't want to. We don't want that. What it's trying to actually do is this tries to go out and look for this ConfigNerd controller. And if it can't find it, it says, well, you have to set controller in the test then. So let's just make this pass by creating a ConfigNerd controller, and that's how both of those failed. So we're going to go over here, and in here we will, I'm just going to jump over this other window, and we will edit a new file in app controllers. We're going to call it ConfigNerdController.rb. And this is just going to be a class ConfigNerdController. This is going to inherit from the application controller. And we will have one method here called edit, and that's it. Okay. Now we can, actually that'll just run because it is a class. Oh no, it won't, because we haven't, let's see, it did not run. Okay, so let's jump back over here, hit that, let's see. Okay, it is running now. So this should help make it fail on another thing. So it's still not going to work because we don't have routes, we don't have views, we don't have any of that. But this is going to tell us what the next step is. So now we have the controller working. It knows what act controller is because that's not the same error. But now it's saying the action controller URL generation error, which means that no route matches the edit action for the controller configured. So let's go through and change that. So we're going to go into the routes, so I can get rid of this controller here and just do routes. Wait for this to go. While I'm waiting for that to cache the thing for Control P, I'm going to go in here and just say Rails routes. Now I can do a resource route, meaning based on the actual controller it'll generate all the routes needed, but I don't want it to generate all the routes. So let's just see if there's a way we can do this. Resources on the web. So we have this, yes we know. So see, this is the way of, like, if you have resources and then photos, it's just going to generate all the required things for that. Singular resources, sometimes a resource that clients always look up without reference and ID and a profile. So we do have that. Resource, which is what we're going to want, creates 6 routes. So it's going to create the new, the post, the new, the create, the show, the edit, the update, and the destroy. So all I want is just these two. So I wonder if there is a way we can do resource and then limit what it actually does. So that's what I'm just looking up here. If we can just limit it just those two actions, is the edit and the update. I don't even want to be able to destroy it from here. So here, see, now you have resource, and then you can have only these actions. So yeah, easy. So okay, here, so resource only. Okay, perfect. And you can pass only a list. So we only want the 2 actions. So let's make that happen. So now that we have routes, we can go in here and we can say we're going to have a resource for ConfigNerd. It's only going to have a list of actions, which is edit and update. All right, now if we save this, we can go over here and go rake routes. This will show us what it generated. We'll just have to look for it in the big list of routes, but we should see that there's only 2 routes made for ConfigNerd, which is okay, I don't see any there. Oh, here it is. So ConfigNerd edit, update, and there's 2 updates because one's a put and one's a patch. Okay, so it generated exactly what we wanted it to. Perfect. Oh, nice. So we didn't need to do the resource. We could have done resources with the only because we could have limited to what it's creating here, but that's fine. I may want to look up changing this ConfigNerd to admin or something. Let's look at how you do that just for fun. I don't need it, but it might be nice. So I think we could do up here path, no. Nope. Okay, let's keep going down and see. There's concerns, there's only, there's concerns. Non-resource routes. Okay, so then that's that. request base, we use those. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I might just leave it, but um, another thing that might be good, because we only need the 2 routes, is just to make it 2 custom routes. Path names, make, edit, change. Oh, cool. Scope admin, do photos as admin photos. Scope admin as admin, do resource photos. Yeah. So you could pass in translated paths. Use scope. We can alter path names generated by resources. Using as. Cool. So I think I can just do the path. Let's just do that. Okay. So we're gonna have the we're gonna have that as only, and then I think I can just tail it on to the end here, path, and we'll just call it admin. Whoops. Change that to this and save this. I'm just going to run that same command here, rake routes, and see if it changed the config nerds over to admin, or sorry, here in the path. This can stay the same because that's the actual controller, which is what we want. Okay, so we have admin, edit, admin, admin, and that goes to config nerds, config nerds. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so now we're just going to jump back over here, hit save, and see the test run. So the first time it was the controller wasn't set, we set the controller. Now it's the URL wasn't set, so we set that. And our next error is going to be the next thing we have to build out, which is most likely the views. It is not. Let's see here. No route matches edit controller ConfigNerd. I think maybe because it's going plural. Yes, it is. So how do we do this? Maybe I just have to add the S into there. So this is going to be the ConfigNerd controller. So that might actually work for us. So we're just going to run this and see if it can find it with the S. Aha, I changed the name but not the file name. Alright, so I'd like it not to have the S, though, to tell you the truth. So what I'm going to do is probably make that a change in, how does it work? In the resources, I have to change it and make that change. And then over here in the routes, this is where we have to tell it to be not plural. And let's go back and look at our documentation here because we don't want it to be plural. We go all the way to the top and see if there's something in the menu. Whoops. Okay. Overriding the singular form. If you want to define the singular form of resource, you should add the additional rules to the inflector. Hmm. I thought if you just use resource, it should do it as just one. Yeah, I am doing resource. Hmm. So it's saying something about an inflector. All right, so there is a config. Inflections. Let's see here. What does it tell us to do in this? So it says define that again here. Translate overriding singular form. Tooth, teeth. Okay, so active support inflector dot inflections do inflect. Hmm. Not done this, so I'm not sure if we're going to do this right, but if we do config nerds, well, we don't want the S, so we'll take that up. Config nerd. I wonder if that would do it. Or is this an inflect plural? What's this uncountable? A new function. Maybe it's an uncountable. I'll leave it as this. I think it actually might be uncountable, but I will just check this out first. Rake routes. Whole point is we don't want it to pluralize ConfigNerd. We want it to stay the same. Stay singular the whole time. ConfigNerd there. So that made it stay the same. I don't know if that's the proper way to do it, but it worked. So that means we can go back into here and hopefully just run this test. Let's see what's up. Alrighty, so we have some weird ass errors here. So this singular thing is screwing up more than I thought. So now this is screwing up the table. And the table is already set. Whoops, I don't want to do that. So the table is already set inside of, let's just go into the DB schema. So we already have, yeah, it's already ConfigNerd set up. So This thing that we did here is screwing up too much stuff to be worth it. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to come back here and say we will quit all this and we will move the app controller, the ConfigNerd controller over to app controllers ConfigNerd's controller. So this is pretty much all we had to do to fix that error. And the other way would have been better to keep it without the S, but the problem is it's screwing up way too much. So there's no point in making more work for ourselves over that S. So now if we go back in, we can do two things here. We can look up, oh, it's going to do this. So we're going to open up both files and change the S over to there, and then it should be good. So we're going to do ConfigNerd controller test, and this is just going to have the S, save. Oh, so we're going to do another split screen, config controller, and add the S here. So you can see it's a blessing and a curse having it auto find all this stuff, because you have to match the pluralization on what it expects. But it's not that bad of a thing. Okay, so now we've gotten to the next error. So that fixed everything. It just now we're in the missing template error, which means that it can't find ConfigNerd's edit. So let's go through and create a new directory. So make directory and app views ConfigNerds with an S, hit enter. And now if we come back here, we can create a file called, and we're going to go, whoops, I'm going to edit app views ConfigNerd and then edit.html.erb. So we're inside this file. I'm going to save it so it sets it. And then let's do ourselves a favor and go into, what would be a good form to go into? I guess just a basic projects form. So we'll just go into projects, edit, HTML. Okay, so we're going to grab this. No, there's not much there. Okay, so we're going to, since this is the only file here, we don't need this form. So let's change this over to admin panel. And actually, this is, I think, if I remember correctly, we can do the layout application. And am I using the page title? Yes, I am. So in here, instead, I'm going to do content for page title do, and this does not need the header tag because that's set already for us. And then I'll just end that content for. Okay, perfect. So this is going to do, now we're going to change over to the projects form. And we'll just copy this directly over and then edit it as we need it. So we're doing a Bootstrap form 4. We're going to change that to ConfigNerd. That's going to say, so let's just copy this whole thing, copy word, whoops, not change word, undo. We're going to yank word, and then we will select word and paste. Whoops, I need a period there. So ConfigNerd errors, we're going to do the errors count, and we're going to have projects here. And then we're going to, let's see here. So that's all the errors. So that's good. Prohibited, this, not project from being saved. It should be this configuration. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so now we're into the actual fields here. So they're pretty much just going to be text fields. So we can just keep those. So this one is just going to be a video add ID. That's the one we have there. And then this is a video. Actually, I don't remember what it's called. So I'm just going to go into the schema and go down here a little bit. Oh, it's right there. Okay, so we have the video temp ID. And this one's the video stream ID, I think. Video stream ID. And this is a little different. So this is a checkbox. Let's just see how you do the checkbox field because it's a Boolean. So we'll do a Rails form for checkbox. Checkbox. No, that's all you have to do. Checkbox. Easy enough. So it's not like, yeah, everything is like number field, month field, index, or text field. It's just checkbox. Cool. Let's head back over here and then do change word checkbox. And this is called live. Save configuration. I think that's as easy as it is. So let's go over to the config controller and just run a quick little save on that to get it to working guard, which I don't think it did. Nope, don't know why, but so let's go over to the config controller test. I probably have to rename that in the test controller. That's probably why it wasn't running. Test should not get edit without admin user. Okay, so we're expecting it to redirect, but it was 200, so it actually did go through. So that is an expected error, which is good, because that means that in here, what we want it to do is, where would that be? That's in the config controller, not test, but the actual one. So here we want to say, before action, what's it called? So in the application controller, we have something called a admin required. So it's redirecting to back. I think we do before action. Yeah, I don't actually do it there, but I can do it. So I'm going to go up here and then just say before action. Oh, weird. Yank word. So we'll get rid of that, get rid of this. So before action, admin required. So that's before anything in this ConfigNerds thing. We need admin. So I can save that now. And I'm actually going to quit all because I'm going to rename this ConfigNerds controller test, and that way that'll automatically run. So I'm just going to go up here, test, and this is the test directory. So test controllers, ConfigNerd, boom. Okay, so now I can go back into Vim and do the config controller. Wait for this thing to refresh. And we'll just go into this one because we're going to be editing it for a while. So I'm just going to run that, and hopefully Guard picked it up. It hasn't yet, but we'll run it again. Very, very odd. Let's see, we have test controllers, refresh. Ooh, we moved it to here. That's what I did wrong. I forgot to change that. So we did ConfigNerd's controllers test in here. Okay, so let's quit all. Actually, we don't need to quit all. We'll just do it from over here. So let's move from the app controllers, ConfigNerd test, to the test controllers. Config. Whoop. Okay, the test controllers ConfigNerd's controller test.rb. Done. So now I can go over here and refresh some of this. Okay, there it goes. And here it is there. So now if I run this, did it work? Yes, it did. Perfect. So we should get that to pass now. And this is only half the battle because this is just getting the, oh, it didn't. Oh, it's the redirect back thing. It doesn't like that. So we need to give it something to redirect back to. Where did I use that? I wonder. Test project test. Right there. I think I still have it set up, so I'll just copy that over to config controller test. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, so I'm gonna go into here, and in the setup, I can put that there, and this is just going to be boom, 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 boom. Done. Now this should run and hopefully pass. So like I was saying, this is only half the step. This is just getting the page to show up. We need to do the form next, which is going to be a new set of tests to say that you can actually update the stuff. Everything is passing. Woohoo. Okay. So let's jump back over to our tests, and we're going to say, we'll copy this one down, yank, and we're going to say, actually what we should do is have this even easier, is to save that and run over to the projects controller test and get the update from there. So we're going to do, so it's new, that's create, edit, update, should update. Okay, I don't have anything for validating yet, so I'm just going to copy these over. So these will go right here. Should update. So I'm just going to run a search and replace on this, which is going to be the word project. And we'll replace that with ConfigNerd. And we'll replace that with all. So I should have, okay, so I'm going to do this once again, %s, project, capital P, replace that with ConfigNerd, and boom. Okay, so that's done. Let's go through these and make sure that they're written correctly. So we're going to sign in, should update ConfigNerd, so we need to be an admin for that. So we're going to sign in as an admin. We're going to config nerd ID equals that, which we don't care about. I guess we should care about that. So we're going to change 2 words here, and we're going to do config nerd.first.id. So that should work. Technically, we'll see. What is this config nerd? Okay, I'm going to copy this over. Whoops, undo. Whoops, undo. So I'm going to yank word, and then we're going to put that here. Like that. Okay. So then we're going to get a ConfigNerd.at by the ID, which is fine. Assert equal. So we're not going to be editing their description. We're going to be editing, let's say, the video add ID. And the config, we'll get it. We'll check that it's set to video add ID is set to balloons. And then we're going to assert redirect back to edit config nerd. Whoops. I think that's right. Do we still have the... No, we don't. That path may need to change. Okay. So anyways, we have that done. So then we have should not if not admin. So this is just a not admin person. So this is going to be, whoops, boom. Okay, yank that down to here. So this description should be video add ID. And we're going to do one more almost identical to that, which is here. Like this. So we're going to yank that down to here. Replace this word with that. We don't need all of this junk. Should not update configure if not signed in. Okay, vid, oh, what's going on here? Video add ID is, and it's going to start. Okay, let's just see what happens here. So that's the 3. So that's everything we need to update this model. It'll run and it'll tell us exactly what's going on here. Okay, so we do not have an action called update, which is perfect. We haven't done that yet. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and we will do a define an update action. And I have an extra space there. Save that, and now we'll see what it's going to complain about. We already have the route, so that should be fine. There is no requirement for view, but it will complain about it because we're not telling it to do anything in the action. Technically, we need to tell it to do something, or it's going to try and find a view. Okay, so here's some errors and some failures here, and I think one of them is the misspelling of the path name. Let's see here. We want to should update ConfigNerd if not signed in. Redirect to sign in page. So response to be redirected to user sign in was redirected to host. Expected sign in, but you got host, just normal root path. So what we should do to make that one work is go back over here and add. Here we need to do before action. It's not admin required. It's what is it called? Authorize user question mark? Authenticate underscore user question mark. And the way we can check that is just to actually go into the application controller. And go down here. No, not this one. It's the I'm almost certain it's called authenticate user, but I could be wrong. No, that's not going to work. Let's just quit out of here, and I'll just search it up. I'm almost certain that's how you spell it. So it's the devise, built-in one in devise. It's it's before action. Authenticate user, and I'm almost certain there's a question mark after it. Oh no, exclamation maybe? Oh, exclamation, okay. That was close. My memory failed me there, but it was very close. So I'm going to replace that with that. Oh, that's not right. Okay. Authenticate user. Okay, good. I can just save this, and that's going to allow that first one. This one is going to now pass the failure and probably error out. And the rest of them are erroring out on this ConfigNerd's path. And then this one is arrowing out on the missing template for update, and then which we talked about that already. All right, so now we just have two errors. So let's see what the remaining errors are: the ConfigNerd's path and the template. So we want the errors to be the template, not this. So this ConfigNerd's path, we could just run rake routes. I'm pretty sure we just have that extra S in there, which we just take that S out, it'll be fine. But I'll verify with this rake routes. So here we go. We're going to ConfigNerd, no S. And that's because we're using the resource, not the resources. So we'll come back here, and this is the test where we're just checking that this is calling the right redirect path. Edit ConfigNerd. I'm pretty sure we can just do that. Double check because we do have an edit ConfigNerd. Okay. So git save and run guard. Guard will run again. Let's just check everything that should be an error will be the missing templates. We shouldn't have any other errors other than that. And in fact, it's quite an easy thing to fix. We do have some, what do we got here? So if you're not admin, it expected host/admin to be that. Expected response to be redirected to that, but was redirected to host. Why am I expecting it? Oh, it's because it's expecting it to go back. I think that does make sense. If you try and... Why would it ever be in /admin though? Very weird. Let's check it out. So it's redirecting to ConfigNerd path. No, that's wrong. If you're not an admin, root path. Yeah, if you're not an admin, it should go to root path. So that is a test error. And the other one was still the template, which we can solve. One error, and it's the template. Perfect. So now we have one last thing to fix here, and we're going to go into, I'm just going to split screen. Oops. We'll quit that, and we'll do horizontal split. So that's not, that's not one. Okay. Wonder why it's doing that. Okay, so we're going to go in here and steal from the projects controller, not the test, the projects controller, and steal their update, which is down here. It's not a very big action, which is good, but it's just don't want to type it all out. So we'll just paste that here and bring that back. So it's just responding to a format. In this case, we only have one format, so it's not a big deal. So this is going to be config. I think it can actually just grab ConfigNerd right there because the action controller sets it. Cool. So this is ConfigNerd params. So if it's updated successfully, where is it going to go? It's going to go to so I'm going to redirect to edit ConfigNerd path. So the difference between just rendering it out and redirecting is redirecting will allow us to use the flash notices, which is much better. So we're going to say configuration, which is spelled wrong, configuration was successfully updated. Good. Okay. So this @configNerd is set in the controller, which is good. Now what I want to do here is, whoops, go down and we're going to set the ConfigNerd params, and we're going to do that using the same bit of code as here. So we'll go down here and go into a private separated bit here, and whoops, that's not what I want. I want to do this. Okay, so this is going to be the ConfigNerd params, and that's the params we're going to require from ConfigNerd. We're only going to allow a few. So we're going to allow video add ID. We're going to allow video, what was it called? I know the other one was live or stream ID. And then we have live, and I'm gonna close that off. So what was the other one called? The other one was called temp. So video temp ID. Save that. So there's our params that we're passing through. That's going to get used by the update. So let's just go right over to the ConfigNerdController test. Whoops. Oh, that's not even close. Okay, so let's just run that and see if we get everything passing. Oh, wait a minute, we already did get everything. Oh no, that's, oh yeah, okay. That must be, it must have ran something else there. So what was the issue here? It ran and it said ConfigNerd params. Okay, so as I was saving throughout that process of writing the code, it ran up here and said we're missing the template. So I went in and I created that that block of code that was redirecting. If you don't put anything inside the method, the action method, it looks for a template file. And update doesn't require that because as soon as we update everything, we just redirect back to any page that we want. So that's why that was failing. So we went and added stuff to the update method. And one of the things that you require in Rails for is setting the required params on the model that you're accessing, that you're going to be updating. So I called this ConfigNerd params method, but I hadn't created it yet. So when I saved it, this said, oh wait, there's an error. This passed, but this is now the new error. So then I went and created that down below, and it said, whoop, everything passes. So looks good. So there we have it. So we have a model that everything passes on. So the only other thing we need to do here is have a way for us to access it from the website. So I'm going to go into the, I'm pretty sure I can just do the, oh, maybe it's in shared for nav, shared nav bar. And let's find the admin section. So here is the admin section. So we have new video, or no, new project, new video. And then I can just yank this and put it up here. And I'm going to link to a admin panel. And this will be, change this to, I'm just looking at the if user signed in because they should be signed in if they're an admin, but whatever. So let's just say, yeah, that is really redundant. Yeah, I'm going to take those out. So we're going to have this edit config nerd path. And then we can get all this out of there because that's repetitive. Because I have it right here. Right here. Okay. So we have the admin panel right above the new project and new video, and that will only be shown if the current user is an admin. And we also have the checks on the controller that you can't even access that page if you're not an admin. So perfect. Let's save that and let's just do a dry run inside of, I don't think I have a Rails server up, so I'll just do Rails S. We'll just check out the look of it in here. It's not going to look anything fancy, but what are you going to do? So I guess we're not an admin there, so we will need to update that. So we'll do a Rails C. All right, so once we're in Rails, I'm just going to say user equals user.first. Should be me. Yes, it is. And I'll just say user.admin equals true. And then user.save. So now I am a admin user. And exit out of there. All right, so I'm going to, now that I've done that, I can hit refresh because we have a local server running. So this should work. And our account button will now have the admin features in it because I'm now an admin. And we'll wait for this slow machine to, it's frustrating because the actual computer is super fast, but this virtual box isn't. Perfect. So in account, now I have admin panel, new project, new video. So let's just click admin panel. And you can see we have the video ID, the video temp, and the video stream. It doesn't say ID on the end, that's fine. I think it's because it recognizes ID as something else and it just knows not to put it in there. And then we have the live button. We can check live or not. So let's go through and let's just test this out. So it may not work. It may like bog us down here, but we'll just try it anyways. YouTube.com. We'll click on typical Joe Rogan thing. Okay, so we're going to steal the code. So I'm just going to go and share. I'm pretty sure it's that U number. Yeah. So we're just going to steal this ID, which is right here. So it is the U. So we'll just steal from here. I'm going to copy this, go over to the, well, that's the, I'll have to do it from, nope, not that. Do it from here. So we're going to stick that ID there. So the video ad will be that Joe Rogan one. This one will be, let's see here. Let's go back and we'll say that's live now. Beautiful. We'll pick this Heroes one. So here. Oh, so this is just a full test of how this will work. So this will be the live stream one. So that's the Overwatch. I don't know why I said Heroes, but Overwatch one. So we're going to go back over here and we will just click on what's next for the web. Okay, so what's next for the web will be our temp one. So now we can have full functionality. Whoops, that's totally wrong button. So we have three videos. So I'm going to save the configuration. It's not live. So what's going to happen is the temp one, oh, look at this. We get an error. Respond to format. So for some reason it did .1. Oh, because probably that's weird why the test didn't because the test isn't actually clicking any links or anything. Okay, so this is interesting. When I set the form, I have it saying, okay, here is the ID, right? But because we used a resource, it doesn't need that. It doesn't need that at all. So what we want to do is I'm going to go here and see. I don't have any rake routes anymore. No, it's not letting me go. I'm just going to run rake routes just as a double checker. And then we're going to go into the code and we are going to change the controller. So the config controller, not the test, just this one. Nope, we're going to change the template. So we're going to do the config edit. Yep, there it is. So here it's saying bootstrap form. So it's clicking this and it's setting this to /1. Which this is not working with this. See, it's just this patch and put is just, it doesn't require that. So I'm just going to double check how we can do a Rails form with custom domain. Rails form for path, or route, I should say, route. Let's see what it does inside here, if there's any trickery we can do. It says form for person, but we don't need it with a model object. I wonder if this just works. This is namespacing it, so we can probably just do that. I wonder if that will work, because that would be really nice. Because this is giving it, change 2 words, we can just do config, we can do a symbol, config nerd. So it knows what that is based on the symbol, but it's not referencing an exact model. So let's save that and go back to here, and unfortunately these We'll lose these because see here, this is the issue. The right here, admin.1. So I'm just going to refresh this. And this will change, instead of being admin.1, hopefully it's just going to be admin, which is what we're going for here. So I'm going to inspect this in particular element, and it's going to say admin/edit. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. So that's not what we want. So that it sort of worked, but then it sort of didn't. So I can do this. I can say URL and method. So that's what we're going to want to do. So I'm going to go into. So yeah, it does make sense because we want to. You see here, we want this to reference the existing one because we want to set all the values in the form fields that are existing. So I'm going to change this back to @ConfigNerd, and then we are going to do insert URL, and we will say good thing we did rake routes. We will say ConfigNerd method patch. Config nerd path method patch. Okay, let's try this again. That's not what I want. I want this. Refresh. Or did it refresh? I don't think it did. Well, maybe it did. Inspect element. Alright, so where is this? Right here. So we got action is /admin, perfect. Method post. Definitely don't want the method to be post, so I'm trying to figure out why did that not set? What did I do wrong there? Method. Looks like it's good. Yeah, it looks good. Method patch. Very odd. This is a very odd puzzle here. Okay, so I'm editing with action @/admin method post. Why method post? Oh, here, input method patch hidden. Okay. So I'm going to hit that save. Configuration was updated successfully. Now if I go to, so the video temp will be the one, the BK one. So let's go to home. Oh, we're in development, so this isn't going to work. Shit, sorry guys. Yeah, I have it so this doesn't play if I'm in development. But essentially you can see how this is all working. The admin panel, we can hit save configuration. It's going to save, and then it says it's live, so perfect. That's essentially what we did. Let's just finish off here. I'm just going to close this out and run rake test. We can exit out of here, exit. So that's done. both of those are good. We don't need that running anymore. And this is the test running now. We have some failures. Okay, this is the subscription, the 3 from before. That's fine. I already know about this, and I'm not solving those right at this time. But this is the subscription ones. It just has to do with how the paths work with the new way I'm doing the subscription SSL certificate. But I can look at that another time. So that's good. We will do git status, and we will see all the stuff that's changed. Now we have most of this stuff that's changed. Like the inflections didn't really change, but I added a couple blank lines there, so whatever. Everything else looks to be good. So we're going to do a git add. Well, that's not a command, so git add. And then we'll do a git commit. For this message will be created an admin config edit page and the tests for that feature. Git, we'll just push that to origin master. So that is the GitHub repository, and then we'll git push to the Heroku master, and that is the live production server. And my tests that are running, we generate tests for that controller, which is good. They all passed, so I have no problem pushing that up. It's not really affecting anything else as far as I could tell. We did do a dry run on the in the browser, which is always good to do. We did find one little bug doing that, so that was handy. Fixed it, and now it's just going to update it to the production environment. So if we go into here, we can see that we have created the admin config edit or page or whatever. So that's all good. We will check here, we're just cleaning up and doing that. Compressing, it's going to be done any second now. And we'll check that the admin button is on the production server. That's done. So we'll head back on over here, production server. I have to sign in, or I'm already signed in. So boom, we got that. So we have an account with the admin panel there, and we could actually run through that. Let's see. We'll just add another video here. So the live stream video, I'll save this. So this is a video ad, and this is a live stream video. So that was done. Now if we go back and refresh, does it work? No. I wonder if that's a little user bug. I wonder if I need to have this one filled in too. We'll check. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
So that is a little bug I have to fix out, but this is working. This video does work there. What I will do though is check that I can go into the admin panel and click over to the live, and it's going to change the video, hopefully. So it didn't like that video at all. So that's a bug for another day, I guess. We'll look into why these videos aren't running probably either tomorrow or the next day. So thanks for tuning in today. We did get the admin page working, so that's a bonus. But I hadn't had a chance to test out this stuff on the production yet because I didn't have a real clean way of adding in the video IDs. But now I do. So now we can test this out and get it working properly. Thanks for watching. Everything's pushed to GitHub, so you should be able to check it out if you want. And see you next time.